So welcome, and then I'm going to go back and sit down. No, you're not getting off that easy. First of all, thank you for the opportunity, Dimitri, to be here, Pasley. I appreciate all the great support and help from our colleagues at National Institutes of Health. I also wanted to acknowledge the efforts of Joni Rudder and before her, Chris Austin, in helping us to stand up this program. And most importantly, Dan Tagley, who was our first point of contact here at the National Institutes of Health to help this project literally, and forgive the intentional pun here, get off the ground. So just quickly, I wanted to introduce you to the Center for the Advancement of Science and Space, CASIS. Not that you should care, there will not be an exam after this, but CASIS is a not-for-profit organization that exists entirely to support the needs of US-based investigators and companies who may not be first and foremost advocates for space or see a need for that. But NASA understood that with the opportunities available on the International Space Station, it was possible to expand access to that environment, the microgravity environment that Dimitri mentioned, to accelerate translation. So similar, keeping in mind the milieu, the context of where we live, CASIS has a similar mission statement to what CPATH has, is that we support and lead collaborations that accelerate drug development, advancing better treatments for people worldwide. So space is not like good wine. It doesn't make everything a little bit better, but it does offer opportunities to accelerate that translation from discovery to clinical application. As Dimitri mentioned, not only from the aspect of the fundamental knowledge that we learn from taking these microphysiological systems to space, but just as importantly, the way that we build those systems. And we here involves not only the collaboration between the principal investigator teams and the platform developers, who are in some cases part of the university where the PIs reside, in some cases commercially based products that form the basis of these MPS systems. They're also working with what we call in our vernacular implementation partners and commercial service providers. These are US companies that have vast experience in taking science from Earth to space and adapting it. So that's feeding back into the design and operation of these systems that enables the continuity and increases the reliability, reproducibility, and throughput of MPS systems for use here on Earth. So quickly, we are now entering, or have been in the 26th year of continuous human presence in space. So the International Space Station has been with us and operational since 2000. 2005, Congress designated the ISS National Laboratory, and in 2011, NASA awarded a non-profit, non-government organization, which is CASIS, to manage that allocation. Station continues to operate today. It is busier than it has ever been in its history. Many of you are probably aware that there are plans to deorbit station in 2030, but this just in, it came out of committee in Congress this week that NASA is exploring extending the operation of station until 2032. So pending agreements from the international partners, it looks like station will continue to operate for an additional 2 years past the current end date. So in addition to our collaboration with Tissue Chips in Space, National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences, and NIBIB here at NIH, we also have built upon our legacy of supporting stem cell-based research and microphysiological systems with Igniting Innovation Awards. So in addition to the investigators you're going to hear from who are supporting Tissue Chips 2.0, we also have some overlap with investigators who are funded directly by ISS National Lab to support what are largely microphysiological system approaches to better understanding disease onset and progression that's accelerated by the microgravity environment. And keep in mind again that the key component here, the facet of what we do, is to focus on leveraging microgravity as an accelerator to better understand diseases, aging, natural aging that occurs here on Earth. This also translates back into NASA and offers opportunities for NASA to improve crew health and performance. So many of you, and some of you in the audience, have also been funded by NASA and agencies to extend the longevity of tissue chips to support NASA Biological and Physical Systems and the Science Mission Directorate in partnership with NIH, with BARDA, with FDA. Those programs were directly derivative of what we were able to do with NIH in 2016 from tissue chips. They've also spun that forward, and there's an active project to go up on the Artemis mission, Avatar, that focuses on the use of tissue chips to better understand how our systems, our physiological systems, and the crew members respond to that different gravity environment, radiation environment experienced in space. This is too much to digest in one, but in one view, but you'll have this in the charts. You can access them. This is a snapshot of the history of engagements, these collaborative agreements that the ISS National Lab has formed with members of other U.S. government agencies to increase the level of funding and opportunities for flight research, leveraging access to the International Space Station. Tissue Chips 2.0, like Tissue Chips 1.0, is different than most of the other projects we have, for example, in collaboration with the National Science Foundation, in that they offer opportunities for 2 flight opportunities in relatively quick succession. So although the International Space Station is traveling very quickly at 17,500 miles per hour, it's a pretty long drive to get up there. So it's typically a year and a half minimum of integration work on the ground before you get your flight opportunity. It's about a year after that before you fly. So the typical cycle has been around 2.5 to 3 years before you can repeat your experiment. That does not work for anybody. So by offering these 2 flight opportunities in relatively quick succession, we're shortening the time that it takes to get the science up there and get the translational outcomes back down to Earth. This is, again, a summary of what we've been proud of in building partnerships. We've supported over 47 awards in transport phenomena with National Science Foundation. More importantly for this audience, with tissue engineering. So this is looking at the interaction between cells and the microphysiological systems that house them. And over the 11 years of joint solicitations, National Science Foundation has provided in excess of $40 million to support research on the International Space Station that addresses questions of interest to the National Science Foundation and less so to NASA. And then below that, you see the Tissue Chips in Space program, which we kicked off in 2016, the release of Tissue Chips 2.0 in 2025. So again, you see significant investment by the National Institutes of Health, who closely monitors where its funding goes. So there is real value to the mission of NCATS and National Institutes of Aging in moving this program forward. Yep. Are we better? No. Okay. I'll get better. Just 2 more charts and we'll get into the intro. So again, just in review, we all love this picture of what looks like someone on the ground handing a chip to an astronaut. It's actually an astronaut handing the chip back to the person on the ground so that the data can move forward. And moving into Tissue Chips 2.0, we're excited in that Dimitri has allowed us the opportunity to ramp up the sophistication and complexity of these chips. So we're starting to look at multi-organ systems on chips. This, combined with results from NASA, BARDA, FDA, and NIH investing in the longevity of chips, sets us in a good place for the future of commercial LEO destinations in space, so that chips can routinely fly and, where appropriate, can offer accelerated insight into how to translate what we learn from microphysiological systems into improvements in therapies and therapeutics. If you have any questions, these are all available. These are available in the charts on the website to learn more about the ISS National Lab and future funding opportunities there. And we look forward to seeing you at the MPS conference in DC. And if you want to come into DC a week early, in May, we will be supporting the Ascend conference, which is also in DC. It's May 19th and 21st. So you'll have an opportunity to meet our NASA colleagues and those that support the implementation partner services as well as part of that. And with that, we'd like to get the teams up here to start talking about Tissue Chips 2.0 and where their investigations are going.